bring in Frank Strait because, Frank, we are still climbing towards the peak of hurricane season, which will be in mid-September. And we're in a dry, cooler, fall-like spell right now. But
Mhm.
what is this I'm hearing about a possible coastal storm for this weekend? Is there truth to it?
Well, some truth to it. I'm not worried about
Sam's
any
mouthing no.
monstrosity that's going to
No, not
that's going to
again.
make Sam miserable again.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, there is something to watch for this weekend. It's not going to be a tropical kind of thing. The tropics are dead, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. And how there's really not much going on in the tropics aside from Fernand, which isn't really anything to worry about, especially for us. But anyway, there's current satellite picture. Showing the eastern 2/3 of the country. And right now, things are quiet because we have high pressure over the region that originated up in Canada. So it's sending unusually cooler and less humid air south. Now, check this out. The observations from Columbia. I have to make the font bigger. I already did that, but it likes to reset itself every few minutes. Our high in Columbia today was 83. Normal high is like 89.
I
And
say
our
that's
dew point
cool
was
for
in the
you, right?
yeah, dew point was in the 50s. It was down to 50 at one point. That's not supposed to happen in August. Not very often anyway, but it happened today. Just to give you an idea of how cool it is here on the Devil's back porch or front porch or whatever. Anyway, you can see if you're looking at the satellite picture, there's a lot of clouds to our west. There's one little disturbance over Arkansas and Missouri, where there's not a whole lot happening because there's a relatively dry air mass there. And as that disturbance gets east, it gets into even drier air. So we're not really all that worried about any rain here in the Carolinas from it, just some clouds as it pushes through this part of the country tomorrow. Our culprit for a potential active weekend is up here over the Pacific Northwest and Intermountain West right now. That's going to be heading our way. And as I switch over to the models here, we'll follow its progression. This is roughly tomorrow morning here, or rather the current time. And then as I advance through to tomorrow morning, we still have high pressure in charge centered roughly over Wytheville, Virginia. So not a thing happening here because we have high pressure over us, but you can see that next disturbance moving our way through the Central Plains states and eventually into the southeast by the time we get to Thursday night and Friday, and it's drifting slowly eastward from there. And then the precipitation spreads into South Carolina and most of North Carolina during the day there. It does not look like a great weekend, I'm afraid, because of the potential here for a lot of clouds and rain, which is not such a bad thing. We need some rain every now and then, just don't want it to happen on the weekend. But unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be relatively wet on Saturday, at least if the Euro's right. Some other models don't really have all that much rain happening on Saturday with the storm going further south. But I don't think those models are going to be right. The models, I'm showing you the Euro here, and our friend the Euro tends to do a lot better than the other models. So, and there are other models that are in agreement with it. So this is what I'm buying for now anyway. Looks like it's wet Saturday with some rain and embedded thunderstorms into Sunday as well. And as we go into later Sunday into Sunday night, notice the isobars, lines of equal pressure between the high to the north and the storm at this point centered over northern Florida. They get kind of closely packed. That means we have an increasing pressure gradient, which means the wind's going to pick up a little bit. I don't think we have any damaging winds or anything like that, but it's going to be cool, and then it's going to get breezy, and so it's going to feel, really cool, kind of like maybe early October rather than the end of August. Or, well, by this case, we're going into September, actually, Sunday night into Monday. But anyway, Monday also looks like a breezy, cool day, especially in South Carolina. Things remain wet. And then finally, the storm moves offshore and the breezy conditions move over the Outer Banks. Again, nothing that's really harsh, but maybe 30-mile-an-hour winds, kind of not really a nor'easter here. If anybody down south really knows what that means, that's more of a Yankee term there. But
right. I knew
that's why in my past life up north, I called the storms Yankee Screamers. But anyway, right. So anyway, the storm moves on away by the time we get to the middle of next week. Another cold front moves in to keep our stretch of cool days going here, and it looks like next weekend could turn out to be a whole lot nicer. So,
but no doomsday hurricane showing up on the 300-hour run of a model.
No, nothing like that. I mean, toward the end of the the model runs, some of the models are showing the tropics may be perking back up again, and I guess I can talk about that for a minute. First, let's look at what the tropics look like now. This is Fernand over here. A little barely looks like a tropical system anymore, and all
Oh,
the way up at
yeah.
40 north. Not a surprise. It moved over the Gulf Stream again out there, so it perked up over the last 24 hours. But it's about to move over cooler waters again. So by this time tomorrow, it should be no longer a tropical system, and it's heading toward the UK. So it's not a problem for us. This mass of clouds here is disorganized and not really anything to worry about. It's our old front that moved through the other day. Nice tropical wave. This is the one that we were watching for the last week, and it had a nice circulation when it was east of the Lesser Antilles. And we thought, and the Hurricane Center thought, oh, this thing has a chance to develop. Maybe it will. Some of the models were saying it would, but never happened. And ended up losing that circulation. Now it's moving into Central America, so better luck for it in the East Pacific. Another tropical wave right about here near Puerto Rico, nothing happening with it. A couple more blobs out over the Atlantic associated with tropical waves. And again, no excitement there. None of the models are jumping on those, saying they'll develop. And there's one more tropical wave there coming off of Africa. That one looks a little bit more impressive, but it's about to move into an area where the air mass is dry and stable, so it's probably going to see the thunderstorm activity with it wane as well. So not a whole lot's going on, and let's talk about why that is. Well, where did I put my Madden-Julian Oscillation map? There we go. It's because of the Madden-Julian Oscillation, and this time I came armed with a graphic explaining what this is. This shows the Madden-Julian Oscillation when it's typically in what we call its phase 1 to phase 2 position, where it's normally developing over the Indian Ocean and Southeast Asia. And this is little drawing here kind of explains what it looks like. You have an area of upward motion and an area of downward motion associated with it. It's kind of like a wave of energy, and the whole mass propagates, the whole shebang propagates eastward at 10 or 12 miles an hour, and the intensity of it varies, but it kind of modulates tropical activity, because where you have the upward motion, you get thunderstorms. You're more likely to get tropical cyclones to form. Where you get downward motion, thunderstorms are suppressed, and you're less likely to get tropical cyclones to form. Well, right now, this area is covering essentially the entire not the entire East Pacific. There is one active system out there, or was one recently, but it's more or less covering the East Pacific and through Central America and the Atlantic Basin, and suppressing thunderstorm activity, and that's why it's quiet over the Atlantic right now. But in about 2 weeks, the upward motion area starts to drift in again from the west. Things should start to perk up in the East Pacific and maybe the western part of the Atlantic as well. And by the time we get to mid-September, things could start to get more active again. So the hurricane season isn't over yet, not by a long shot. We're not even at halftime yet. So, and there's reason to believe in the long range things could get a little more active again. So let's not let your guard down and stay prepared.
I appreciate that update. You're right, Frank. Still so much left of this game.